All right, welcome folks, Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. Now, today I'm going to finish out our F35 series. Some of you may be wondering, well, what happened to the sit reps, especially the times that we are living in and the things that are going on around the world. Well, I'm out of pocket this week, and so it's very difficult for me to do a sit rep from the road just because the content that I have to have in front of me and in front of you it just can't be done from a mobile position. And so this is the time that I take advantage of requests from the viewers. And I've had a lot of folks that ask to get into some of the aircraft specifics. And so because I was with Lockheed Martin for almost 18 years, I've got a pretty good background and in-depth intel on the F-35 program. And I thought, why not just share some of the knowledge that I have with you guys? Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And so for today, we're actually going to talk about the F35C, or what they call the CV, which is the carrier variant. Now, the thing that sets this bird apart from all of the others is the fact that the Navy are the only ones that fly it, kind of like the CTOL. It's only the U.S. Air Force. Now, there are Navies from other countries that fly it too, but primarily you're talking a Navy bird, right? The difference on this one is that the fact that it doesn't hover, and it's got some different components to it. Now, the hovering one you see landing on and off the ships, that's operated by the Marines, okay? The carrier variant is straight up Navy pilots. And now this one, there's three key differences in the aircraft itself. One, the wing tips actually fold up, okay? Just like you used to see in the old birds back in the day, where they'd actually pop up the wings on the boat. It's so that they have more room to maneuver and navigate that aircraft while it's on the deck being moved around, or down below the deck being moved around, right? And so when you start taking the wings in, it gives you that extra space, and you can actually fit different, more aircraft and more, support equipment and things around those aircraft. Now, as soon as they start to go into flight mode, and they get them on the deck and the pilot's in the seat, then they drop the wings down, they throw up the thrust gates and things like that. And so it's got the flipped up wings. It's got a tail hook, which the other variants really don't have. It's a pretty heavy duty tail hook too. And then of course the landing gear on this particular bird is very robust compared to other landing gear. And that's because the landing cycles in and on an aircraft carrier, they hit hard. When they're catching that hook and the wires to stop that aircraft, they need some pretty robust landing gear and tires for that matter. Also, the wing surface on this aircraft is a little bit larger than on the other aircraft, and that's because when it's coming into a carrier on approach, you need that extra lift. And so given that bigger wing surface helps them to kind of slow down their approach, and they don't have to come in so hot and heavy. And so anyway, there's that, okay? Now, it is the exact same in terms of where it's manufactured. It's made at the Fort Worth plant primarily. They do have other mate facilities that are going on around the world. Again, you've got Northrop Grumman makes the center, BAE Systems makes the aft, Lockheed makes the forward, and then Alenia primarily makes the wing, right? So those are the four partners, and of course the 8 partner nations we've already talked about, everything from Cuba, Canada to Australia to Turkey. I mean, we've got 8 partner nations on board on this aircraft, and they all make some, to a limited degree, components for the aircraft out of their own country. So it's kind of, like I've mentioned before, it's a jobs program, really. Now, the one thing I haven't mentioned in the past when I talk about this aircraft and how advanced it is the fact that it is a supercomputer. There are over 400 billion operations processed per second. Let that sink in. And yeah, 400 billion, I did say it with a B, per second by this aircraft. That is a supercomputer like you've never seen before. It's absolutely incredible. All the things that this thing can process and do at any given time. So there's not when a pilot's flying this thing and he's engaged with all these other, flight surfaces and helmet and weapons and everything else, navigating, talking to the tower, all that other stuff, that is nothing compared to what this airplane's doing. Now, the F-35 is unique in that it talks to other F-35s. And so when you have a squadron commander or somebody flying that's in charge of the F-35s, and say you've got a 4-ship or whatever flying together, that guy that's in charge can actually look at the weapon loads on his team or wingmates. Okay, so he knows how many his team has in terms of but air-to-ground weapon systems. He knows what their fuel loads are. He's got eyes on every bit of the data that's going in around him. These planes are all talking to each other, so they all kind of know exactly what the weapons loads are. Now, the other interesting thing is that they can be programmed on the fly and reassigned missions while they're out flying around in a matter of seconds, whereas other aircraft would have to actually circle around, burn a little bit of fuel while they get new coordinates on a drop location. F-35, not so much, right? They get a command comes in based on the armament load that they have or the munitions load, and they can reassign on the fly, which is another thing that sets this aircraft apart. And so we have that. Like I said, this is all, for the most part, it's all carrier operations other than maybe land-based operations from the Navy perspective. The bird is sitting on an engine that holds about, actually produces 40,000 pounds of thrust. You'll notice when it's taken off the carrier that it doesn't have, there's no afterburners on, man. This thing's just on full mill power. The engine system on this, I will tell you, I've talked to pilots that fly both the F-35 and F-16. I've seen and talked to them that were flying together, and they will tell you that they'll look over and the F-16 is at full afterburner to try and stay up with the F-35, who is just sitting at 100% mill power. So it is an incredible machine, and again, the helmet and the helmet display also sets us apart. Just like the other birds, when this guy's flying, if he looks over his shoulder, left or right or down through his legs, he's got the opportunity where he cannot see the aircraft. It also has that camera on the front that gives him that alternate, FLIR, or what they, night vision, so to speak. And advanced, those cameras in the front are also very advanced. They do everything from identify threats to allow them to fly over a location and look and see what assets were on the ground as well as what are on the ground in a nighttime theater. So it's absolutely amazing. Now, the per copy cost on these, I'm not really sure. I think they were around the 80 million mark, maybe a little bit more than that. That's one of the things that I've kind of lost sight of since I'm not on the program any longer. But I do know that the big driver behind this aircraft was the cost, okay? Because it is a replacement for the F-22. The F-22 is very expensive per aircraft. And that's one of the reasons why the program got canceled, because Air Force just couldn't afford to buy what they needed. And so when the F-35 came on board, they kind of shifted their focus over to get a better, more affordable solution so they could buy more copies of it, really. And so, again, Fort Worth manufactured, comes out of Carswell, the old Carswell Air Force Base, which is now the Joint Reserve Base there in Fort Worth. And production line a mile from end to end. And these things are selling like hotcakes to all the other partner nations. Their plan is to produce, again, one a day off the assembly line at rate production. And so I know they're getting close to it, but not there just yet. But anyway, that is really going to be our F-35s in terms of the breakaway, right? So you've got the CTOL, which is the conventional takeoff and landing, flown primarily by the Air Forces. You've got the B variant, which is a STOVL, which is going to be your short takeoff vertical landing bird, the one that hovers, right? And then we've got the CB, which is the F-35C, as in Charlie, and that is the carrier variant flown by the Navies. And so hopefully you found this informative. I look forward to getting back onto the sit reps, but in the meantime, hopefully everything is chilled out. I'm doing this in advance, and I'm watching the Ukraine about to pop and go off, and so who knows, right in the middle of this, we actually could probably be at war or have the Ukraine going off right now. And so I will get back as soon as I can. So in the meantime, you guys keep your powder dry, stay frosty. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworxus.com.